still just have a lot to figure out with my setup, so thanks for being patient there. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna look for one that has like a lot of upvotes, because that means that it's good. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, this one sounds good. Am I the for telling my sister I won't be inviting her to my wedding because I don't agree with her choice of +1. Off to a bad start. So let's click on it and see. Okay. My sister turned 28 female just a few days ago, and I, 28 male, who will be 29 next month, are half siblings who were raised by our mother, but we have different fathers. Our childhood was not a good one, and our relationship has always been complicated. The biggest reason is how bad our mother was and how we were raised in a very toxic house, but also because sometimes the men our mother would bring to meet us would show more interest in me than her, and it made my sister jealous. There was also some things done by our mother regarding our fathers that created issues. We never knew these guys, so it was easy for our mother to dangle ideas in front of us as kids to provide herself with some entertainment. Okay. This is crazy. I wasn't a great guy in my teens. I had a lot of girlfriends, and I had a reputation for not being so great to the girls I was with. One particular ex of mine, Emily, we dated for 2 months, and I broke things off with her because I wanted another girl more. But Emily grew way more attached to me than any of the others, and was hurt that I didn't want her, and I was a jerk about it at the time. It was a big deal to her, and for the next year until graduation, she would try to get me back, and I was a lot crueler than I needed to be about saying no. Okay, so the poster is a huge asshole. Something that helped me grow as a person and be a better human was my sister finding our grandparents and finding good people who wanted to know us. Okay, I'm sorry for what I just said, because clearly he has issues because he didn't feel like loved and stuff. That and growing up a lot in college helped, and by the time I was 25, I had realized I was bisexual with a stronger attraction to guys. And part of my issues stemmed from self-hatred that my mother drilled into me because she was grossly homophobic. And I ended up falling in love with an amazing guy. About a year ago, my sister ended up becoming friends with Emily. And she brought her to dinner at our grandparents' once my fiance and I were there. Emily was pissed to see me, and while I did apologize, Emily needed to be asked to leave by our grandparents because she was ranting and raving at me and expressing very clearly how fucked up it was that I ended up with a guy instead of her and how I treated her. My sister wasn't happy that my grandparents kicked Emily out, and they told her she disrespected me and I'm family. Emily still despises me, and my sister has stayed in touch with her. Emily has tried to contact me and my fiance as well since that dinner. Found out a while ago my sister planned to make Emily her +1 to my wedding, and I told her I did not want that and it didn't seem appropriate. My sister told me I didn't get to decide her +1. We bickered over it, and it all resulted in a week ago me telling my sister I wouldn't invite her then. My sister was saying I was as much of a dick as I was back then, and how shitty it is to not invite her over her choice of +1. Am I the asshole? No. Okay. My dog is definitely playing with a ball upstairs. high school or, I don't know, early college or whatever, why would she bring the one person that you have like a lot of beef with, that you like treated really poorly? Like, why would she bring that one person to your wedding? That's crazy of her. Yes, it sounds like the poster was not like a great person when he was in his teens. He even admits that, but like obviously he had a lot of trauma. He was closeted, didn't have like a great family life, didn't have like a strong like parental or guardian to like look up to, and now he's like trying to move on with his life. Why would the sister drag back in like a ghost from the past? That's so inappropriate. Also, like assuming that the sister is straight and assuming that Emily's not like her date, like they're not dating, why would you choose to bring a platonic friend that has a complicated history with one of the grooms? That's so toxic of the sister. Like, if you're gonna bring a friend, bring a different friend that doesn't have a weird history with your brother. Or, okay, already the original poster is way nicer than I was at my wedding. We said only serious relationships could bring plus ones. Controversial, I know, but like, we already had a big wedding, we have big families, a lot of friends, and so we only invited people by name. Like, if we knew they had a serious relationship, or if we didn't know, we would ask them. We weren't just like throwing out plus ones to every single person that was invited to the wedding, because then you get shit like this, where people think they can just like, oh, well then hell yeah, I'm gonna bring someone, and they bring a random friend or like a family member. Like, I don't want my husband's friend from college bringing her sister because we gave her a plus one. Like, that's so stupid. I feel like our boundary with our wedding was like, it needs to be people like in our lives, or people in the people we love's lives. So we didn't give random plus ones. Sorry if you think that's controversial, but that was what we decided was best for us. And yeah, clearly like he used to suck. Maybe he still sucks, because you never know with these posts, because obviously people are gonna try to make themselves sound good. Like, maybe he still is kind of a jerk, who knows? But no, I would literally say the same thing. I'd be like, this is my wedding, you're not bringing someone from my past, and if that's the only thing you care about, then you don't need to be there. Like, that's crazy. No, not the asshole. Okay, next. Let's see. Okay. Wife's sister so your sister-in-law. Wife's sister lets her kids run wild and destroy my house during family dinners, so I voiced my opinion. My wife has her siblings over for dinner every week. Every is in all caps. 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Okay, that's a lot. Only one is married with kids. Okay, that's better. These kids are not parented at all. Many times we have to stop a child from serious injury because their parents just forget they exist. Tonight I bought a cake for my wife's birthday that is next week, since I will be leaving town for work and missing the date I wanted to celebrate. The oldest of the little guys, 6, starts literally pounding the floor. Full-blown tantrum that I won't let him carry the cake lit with candles to the table. I ignore it and proceed after cutting the cake and bringing my wife her piece. Okay. The little brat jumps up and smashes his toy truck down into the middle of it. I get my wife another, but she just eats around it and says she doesn't mind. I brush it off. Minutes later, the toddler, kid number 3, is seen running through my great room with a spoonful of icing that his mom gave him, and another child, number 2, is using an egg roll as a missile, smashing it into my walls. circus leaves our house. I'm cleaning up and doing dishes by myself. My wife walks in and she sighs relief that they are gone. I made the mistake of venting how frustrated I am that her sister, her husband, and children have zero respect for our home. The response was a rage-filled screaming match about how absolutely terrible I am, and that she will make sure her sister's family is never present when I am home. Feels like he's leaving some things out. I'm just gonna say, I don't just believe that the classic, the woman freaked out and started Maybe his tone was a little bad, or maybe he said some nasty things. He's already calling it the little brat in a Reddit post on the internet. Who talks about their nephew or niece that way? That's really inappropriate and mean. So I'm just gonna put that there. TLDR. Wife lets her niece nephew destroy our house on a weekly basis. By the way, there are a lot of typos in this. And then screams at me when I voice frustration. Okay, wait, there's 2 updates. Edit. Background, my wife usually cooks and cleans up after the family get-togethers. This time I chose to take over. I do my best to assist in prep and clean up. I get that even though I am home only half the month, I still need to engage in household duties. I try to make up for my absences when I'm home. Edit number 2, many of you have mentioned that I should let her threat of never having them over when I'm home come true, but it's an empty threat meant to make me fearful of her running down my character to her family and friends. This couple needs therapy or a divorce. Update. Sat down with my wife today and established this behavior won't continue. We are in agreement to start with marriage counseling. She apologized for being mean. I stood my ground that the verbal abuse won't continue. Alright. See, this is one of those where I'm like, okay, like, philosophically, are you the asshole for saying that's unacceptable? No, of course not. But we didn't get to watch a recording of what you actually said to her in the kitchen, so like maybe you were an asshole, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like how he's just skipping over everything, saying that she screamed at him, blah blah blah, rage-filled screaming match, when it's like, dude, I just read your post and you called one of them the little brat. Like, that's crazy. And saying like anarchy, like clearly this guy either hates kids or hates these kids specifically. So like I am assuming that he is an asshole, and that the way he talks to his wife about them is probably really mean and aggressive, and like she probably is like felt defensive and like insulted and attacked because like that's her family, like that's her siblings and her niece and nephew or whatever. However, I don't think he's the asshole for bringing it up. Like, I agree that that's unacceptable behavior to do in someone else's home, and if that was like, let's just say me and my husband, like, I would agree that even if it's your siblings' kids, they cannot behave like that in your home, and unfortunately, you would have to have like a tough conversation with those parents of like, hey, we love you, we love your kids, however, the way they behave in our home isn't conducive with how we accept behavior in our home, and so that's gotta stop. promise with my best friend that was made 10 years ago. Okay. Wait, I need to move this a little. Okay. I'm like weirdly crouching over. Alright. My best friend and I are in our early 30s. When we were young, around our 20s, we were both single at the time for a long, long time. She then said that if one of us is still single when we hit 30 and the other one is not, then the married one adopts the single one, so neither of us would stay alone. Back then I said, that's the deal, and didn't think any more of that because for me it's been like a silly joke. Okay, wait, I'm sorry, is this literally a robot writing this? Yeah, someone said, is this a troll post? It kind of sounds like AI or something writing this. Okay, but now we are in our 30s. She just turned 30 last month and is the single one while I am married. Yesterday she reminded me of the deal that we had 10 years ago, and I jokingly replied that she could move in tomorrow. She then said that she would need a couple of days to pack all the stuff that she needs, and then she would move in with us. Because I realized how serious she'd been, I asked if she meant it serious because for me it's a joke, and of course she cannot move in with me and my husband. She then accused me of being a bad friend because I didn't keep my promise from 10 years ago, and she would have let me move in if she was the married one and I was single. Then I told her that even though I appreciate that, I wouldn't expect her to do that because I understand that I have nothing to do in someone's household as a grown-ass woman. I also explained to her that I didn't expect that she meant it dead as serious because for me it's common sense that this is not serious. There are so many aspects that need to be considered, and at some point everyone has their own life. She didn't take it well and offered that she could be our maid, and I refused. I point out that everyone has their own life. She didn't take it well and offered, if she could be our maid. I refused. I apologize for not making it clear that it wasn't a serious promise for me, and if she needs any help in the future, I am okay with her staying temporarily but not permanently. She still thinks I'm the worst friend now that doesn't keep promises and leaves her hanging down. Okay, seriously, that sounds like either it was like a fake post. I don't know if this is real, but obviously not the asshole. But see, this is one of those where I'm like, that was sad to read because clearly the friend has like serious like things going on that she's like slightly detached with reality to where she would think that that was like serious and not a joke, and also that she would try to like cash in on it and like move in with someone and their husband unless they're like polyamorous, and so like it wouldn't be that weird. But now the one girl is just like changing her mind. Like obviously there's things that could be left out of the story, but as it's written, I just feel bad for the friend because it sounds like she has like some serious issues like going on, and that she isn't quite 100% like with it. No, not the asshole. I did not like that one. That one was weird. Okay, let's find another one. Am I the asshole for asking my spouse to settle? Let's go. My spouse was laid off from their job almost a year ago, and while my income is technically enough to support our family, we have 2 elementary-aged kids. It relies on my annual bonus being paid out at 100% every year. Even in that scenario, it's barely sufficient and has required that I reduce my 401k contributions. We aren't able to contribute to emergency savings, and if anything comes up as needing repairs with our house, we are stuck having to put it on a credit card. They have a friend that shared a job that would basically have been guaranteed They have a friend that shared a job that would have basically been guaranteed they would have gotten. Their friend was a former colleague and the hiring manager, but my spouse because it was beneath them. The pay was about 30% lower than their previous job, and an individual contributor role versus management like before. However, even at the pay rate of this position, it would cover the monthly cash burn delta by about 3 times and take a measurable pressure off me and our finances. I understand not wanting to take a step back, but in my mind, even 1 or 2 steps back is better than no job at all. I can see that perhaps their perspective is that I do technically make enough for them to wait for the right opportunity. Now I'm wondering how much effort they're even putting into finding a job if they're only applying for perfect fits. Alright, this one is marked as not the asshole, but I actually disagree. I think that you are the asshole. I don't know. Again, I'm like a broken record, but like every situation is obviously so like nuanced and like we're only getting a tiny glimpse of it. But like, I don't think it's fair or right. This is hard because like kids brings in a whole nother like thing, but I can see the spouse's perspective. Like when you're applying for a new job or you're like trying to get a new job, it is very like you don't want to just jump into whatever. Like I get that, especially if they have career goals, and just because they were laid off doesn't mean they like did something wrong or that they were bad. Like there's so many layoffs happening right now everywhere, so like by them just like jumping on this like random job that someone they used to work with is hiring for, but it's like a step or multiple steps down, like I would get why they wouldn't want to take that, because A, they're beyond that in their career, and B, like that has implications on their resume. Like then they're gonna have it on their resume and people are gonna see that they like took this step down, and then it could hurt their future earning potential and their next job potential, because then recruiters like it could completely set them back in their career, because then recruiters and hiring managers would see like, oh well, why'd you like take a huge step down? So long term, I actually feel like the poster is just like so hyper focused on the now, whereas like I understand from the spouse's perspective, like the long-term implications of that could actually harm their family more long-term. Because like if they could just like find the right fit that's at their level and then go on from there, they could end up like on the same track they're on right now. But if they're like taking a step back, then they're going to be put back in their career potentially and like hurt their own like future opportunities. So I guess it just depends like how dire is the situation. Like obviously reducing 401k contributions, not putting into an emergency savings, and the potential of an emergency happening. I get that. That's not like a comfortable way to live. But you are able to make this work right now, and so like just give her a little more time, or give them a little more time. I also feel like it depends how long has the spouse been looking. Like has it been a year? Because then I could see being like, okay, fucking chop, like you need to get something. But has it been like 2 months or like 3 or 4 months? Because then if so, I would be like, okay, chill, like just support your spouse in finding the right fit. It kind of sounds maybe like the poster is just like not taking the spouse's like dreams, aspirations, feelings into consideration, and they're just like, you need a job, you need a paycheck. But it's like maybe they have like goals and aspirations and stuff, and like I get that like having kids, you have to feed the kids and like keep the kids alive, but it sounds like they do have enough to do that right now. So it's not like the kids are like suffering. So I can see both sides to this one, but my gut reaction is that yes, you not the next. I'm guessing it's supposed to say cold. It just says I'm. Since my body temp is all over the place, I've been mostly wearing a robe around the house. And this morning I wasn't feeling well and asked a friend of mine if they could get me some cold and flu medicine since I was out. And my parents were at work. They said sure. They were in a rush to get to school, so asked if I could meet them outside and just grab the medicine so they wouldn't have to stop the car. My friend arrived, and since I was just laying down recovering, I was only in my robe. I figured it would be fine since it's mid-length and I was only going to be outside for a second. So I went outside, got the medicine, and my friend left. On the way back inside, my neighbor, 50 female, came outside and started yelling at me. She told me it was disgusting that I was dressed like that outside for all to see. And she really started yelling at me. I felt like it wasn't a big deal, so I told her that I was outside for less than a minute, and this conversation was longer than the time I was actually outside for. She told me I was being disrespectful and told me to imagine if her husband or someone else was to see me dressed like that. Here's where I might be the asshole. I told her that if I had to worry about her husband seeing me when I was still fully covered, then she married a creep and she should have made better choices on who to marry. Agreed. She gasped loudly and kept yelling at me, so eventually I said I wasn't feeling well and went inside. Apparently my neighbor ended up talking to my mother when she came back home and told her what happened. My mother says I was extremely rude and I shouldn't have said those things and I have to apologize. I don't think I was in the wrong since it was literally only a minute and my robe covered everything anyways. So am I the asshole? Hell no, you're not. Not the asshole. I completely agree with everything the poster has said. Like, first of all, you live there and it's a robe, and not to be like whatever, but like I don't think that's unreasonable. Like, it's your property, you live there, and it covered you, and you literally ran out to get medicine and ran back in. Like, okay. And also, I completely agree with what they said about the husband. That was my first thought, was like, why are you, like, that's so fucking creepy, and like, so nasty that, like, why do women have to be held accountable for men's desires and men's thoughts and men's actions? It's like when girls get dress coded at school because they would be like tempting men or like tempting teachers. Like, I've literally heard of that. I'm like, then the teachers are pedophiles. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, the husband shouldn't have any sort of thought if he sees the neighbor outside in the robe, maybe like a oops, like look away or something. I don't know. But like, what are you worried about? Are you worried that your husband's gonna be like turned on? Because that's sick and twisted. If so, what other reason? Why else would you care? If your husband, like, just know that's like, so that triggers me. That makes me mad. So absolutely not. And I think it's hilarious that she said she married a creep and should have made better choices on who to marry. See, these are the times where I'm like, if I ever have kids, if I'm ever like a mom or a parent, I would support that girl and be like, hell yeah, you said that. That's so true. No, you don't have to apologize. Like, why would the mom say that she was extremely rude and shouldn't have said those things and have to apologize? Like, that's true. Like, what she said was true. So I would fully support my daughter if they said that to the neighbor, and you are absolutely not the asshole. I feel like, yeah, it also depends. Like, obviously we're not getting all the details. Like, maybe if it was like a see-through silk, like sexy robe with like lace on it, like, sure, maybe that's a little more revealing to wear outside. But like, it's up to you if you're comfortable or not. And it's also like, it depends. Like, yeah, if you're like regularly going outside in a sexy robe in front of children, okay, well then you're the creep and that's inappropriate. technologists only orifices, poo mode for short. This is a new flair we will be applying to posts with a high volume of rule-violating comments that will restrict participation to only trusted community members. This will also apply to all posts more than a week old. Okay. Why is this necessary? Some posts attract a disproportionate volume of rule-breaking comments, and it doesn't feel fair to all the other posters to spend so much of our effort moderating the single post. We've tried pinning reminders of the rules to these posts, but many inevitably lead to a lock, which is a poor experience for anyone having a conversation within the post. We're taking a note from other communities who have faced similar challenges to still allow activity in these posts without blowing up the queue. We'll send a message to anyone who has had their comment removed for this reason, explaining why, and inviting them to sort by new to find hundreds of other posts made today that they can participate in. I don't really understand that, I'm gonna be honest. So, when an asshole post has like too many rule-breaking comments, they're labeling it poo mode. So only trusted community members can participate, I guess. I don't know, that wasn't what I was expecting. Anyways, that's it. It's been like almost 40 minutes, so I feel like I should wrap it up. But let me know if you enjoyed this video, and thank